Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Marc.
And Rabbi, I'm a longtime journalist at the Capitol,
Right.
and someone who I've met in my travels is our guest today, Marc Cohen. Marc is the president of the SUNY Student Assembly, and he's a trustee at the SUNY Central of the SUNY Board. You're a trustee on the SUNY Board.
I am, and it's good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, because we had you a couple of years ago.
With my predecessor last year.
Tom Mastro, right. So, but you were here with him because
I was.
you were his number two guy. So
That's
now
right.
you're number one.
Yeah.
I am, and I got my number two guy here too. So
Okay,
don't.
So they soon to be one.
I didn't chip you. I don't know. You'll have to ask.
And I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked on the previous show. Exactly what is student, the student assembly? Are you an advocate for the students? Or exactly what is your position?
SUNY has 64 campuses. We're the
Really?
largest
Yeah,
system
no.
of comprehensive education in the country. We have 600,000 students, and we take pride in advocating on behalf of community colleges, university colleges, agriculture technology colleges, and university centers. And so each of those student government presidents come together at a convention with their delegates, and they elect a leadership team. And at the last convention, I was elected as president to advocate on behalf of those students.
Is that a paid position, or it's like a student council president like we had when we were kids?
So I get a small stipend. I think my chief of staff over there, Nick, figured it out. We get about 30 cents an hour or something like that for the work. No,
Hey,
but
there's no minimum wage?
no,
No,
but you're not in it for that. You're in it. You're in
I
it for
know.
the advocacy
Good.
and the time that
Well,
you get to spend with these leaders.
You should at least get paid what prisoners are paid when they're behind bars and they're working.
Oh my gosh! Don't make don't make the comparison. Student leaders and prisoners. I don't like it. Oh my gosh.
Some may feel that way.
Well, so they're going to make a case that the prisoners should get paid less because they shouldn't get paid more.
They shouldn't use us as an example.
No, okay,
No,
at all, okay.
no.
So what's your, now you're from Amherst, a suburb of
Buffalo.
Of Buffalo, and Williamsville High School you went to?
Williamsville East High School
East,
in Amherst, New York, and I
Right.
went to Casey Middle School and Dodge Elementary School, and then
Now-
to the University of Albany.
Okay, now is your experience at UAlbany going? Or you graduated last year, I guess?
I graduated last year with my
Yeah.
bachelor's degree
Right,
in political
now you're at
science,
Rockefeller.
and I'm in
College?
Rockefeller for my Master of Public Administration.
Okay, so what's your career track?
So people ask me, what are you going to do after you graduate? And my response to
What
that
are you
is,
going to do when you grow up?
what are you going to do when you grow up? And I say, well, I'll just keep getting more degrees so that I never have to make that decision. But I think that being in the job that I'm in as president of the Student Assembly and a trustee on the board, I'm the only trustee, voting trustee, who's not appointed by the governor. And so I get to advocate for my students and speak up for what I believe in without being beholden to anybody. And so I want to do that more. I want to continue to advocate for the initiatives I believe in and for the people I believe in as much as possible, and not be beholden to anybody except those people who've elected me.
Marc and I have so many elected officials, practically all of them. You're around the Capital District on our show, and a lot of people started like yourself. Oh, I was an advocate, and then they finally said, well, maybe I'll just get into an elected position. Is that in your long-range goal? I mean, maybe somewhere along the line you can, there's ways from the outside and there's ways to change it from the inside too.
Sure, and being in this job, I have the opportunity to advocate, to state assembly members and senators, to the United States Congress, to those in the executive branch, and then to my fellow colleagues in higher education. And so I have not counted out entering a life of public service, but I really do, where I am now, I believe that it's critical to engage in something, one, that you're passionate about, that you can wake up every morning excited about, but do what you know to be in the best interest of your constituents versus in the best interest of special stakeholders and leadership and like that.
Now, public service doesn't always mean elected official.
No, it doesn't.
No, so would you consider running for office, and from where?
Well, I would certainly consider running for office. I have a very good relationship with my community in Buffalo, and I have a good relationship with my community in Albany, and through this job I have good relationships with communities across the state. So I don't know, but I know that whatever I do...
I love Cohen.
Oh, you love Governor Cohen. Give me a little bit of time. Let's make changes in our communities first.
You'd be the third Jewish
On
governor.
one point, it's around universities around the country. I need to ask you, and I don't think it's SUNY, but then correct me, because obviously you have the hand, the pulse. It's like the BDS, like get to be it is surely anti-Israel, but then on the other hand, I think it's a little anti-Semitic also.
Certainly, and I think the biggest mistake you can make is separating BDS from anti-Semitism and BDS from anti-Israel. It is, and it's not constructive and it's not productive. Look, I, as a student on a liberal college campus, as a self-identifying Democrat myself, but just as a thinking human being, I can appreciate a good dialogue. I can appreciate a logical conversation. I don't like when misinformation and flat out lies are put up against logic and people believe it. People subscribe to it. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. But that's not constructive. And so BDS is an issue on our campuses. And what I tell my campus presidents and student leaders across the system is fight with facts. Bring your own speakers on campus. Don't try and petition not to get BDS speakers to share what they want, but bring speakers who can combat what they're saying with facts, irrefutable facts.
Excellent.
So you also have, well, first of all, I got to tell you, you mentioned about the liberal and the Democrat and the politics, and you brought that up. So you are a liberal Democrat. I am
a moderate Democrat. I care about issue by issue specific sort of matters and try not to associate with anything like that. And that's not for fear of taking a stance. It's because I think every issue needs to be looked at on its face. I think that liberal Democrats are generally don't look upon Israel in as much of a favorable light as some on the right. And on that issue of international politics and relations, I would more associate with them. On social issues of equal rights and civil rights and women's rights and issues of that nature, I'm absolutely a liberal Democrat. And so I think that you can't, the problem with politics today is that you've got such a polarization that prevents progress from being made. And that's it's not good to corner people into, are you a liberal Democrat, are you a conservative Republican? Because you push people further and further to the base so that they can get money, and then you don't have any conversation in the middle, and that's the issue.
Excellent opinion, excellent.
So I wanted to ask you, being from Buffalo, I saw that you interned for our Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul, who's from Buffalo as well.
I did.
So do you have a close relationship there? Is there something more to a story to tell other than the fact that you're a Democrat committeeman in Erie County, you interned for Kathy Hochul, you're both from Buffalo, I mean...
Baruch Hashem, my relationship with Kathy Hochul is wonderful. She's an incredible representative, an incredible leader, and she's been a mentor for me. I started working with Kathy when she ran for Congress back in 2010, even before in the special election, 2011. I interned in her office immediately, and when she became Lieutenant Governor, I interned for Lieutenant Governor Duffy, and I stayed on for Lieutenant Governor Hochul. I don't anymore. This job as a trustee and president takes my time, and I have to ensure that I'm as unbiased as possible, but we have a good relationship.
Give us a little insight as to what it is to be in a lieutenant governor's office, not necessarily whether it's Duffy or Hochul. You probably don't want to give away trade secrets, but I remember when Mario Cuomo was lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
It goes back before you were born.
No, yeah.
But
the good old days.
The good old days.
Yeah.
So he had like all of a sudden he was working on some campaign, for his gubernatorial campaign in his office late one night, and a bat came out of their fireplace and started flapping around, and he took a bat and tried to hit the bat with a bat, and him and his assistant, Linda Fisher, were both, running around trying to figure out how to get, and they chased him out of the Capitol, and they called security. So, I have stories like that, which, I cherish fondly, that I was around at the time when these things happened. But, in a lieutenant governor's office, what is it, a frenetic pace? I mean, Mario Cuomo found it very boring to be lieutenant governor. Hugh Carey didn't give him anything to do. Bob Duffy found it too taxing, so he had to go away. He couldn't. He had a back problem and all that. So, what's your impression of lieutenant governor's office?
Well, I'll say this: I haven't batted any bats, and I haven't fend off varmint. But I'll tell you that I interned for Lieutenant Governor Duffy, and he's a colleague of mine on the SUNY Board of Trustees now, an excellent representative still, and he was a very fast-paced lieutenant governor. And Kathy Hochul, both literally and figuratively, had big shoes to fill coming from Lieutenant Governor Duffy, and she does. The Lieutenant Governor is active with campus safety issues, and I'm speaking just in higher education where she's active with campus safety, with affordability. She's focused a lot of her time on heroin and opiate addiction and prevention in communities. And this is a role that, you're right, I mean, in the past, lieutenant governors haven't taken on. Governor Cuomo is gracious enough to, to really allow his lieutenant governors, from my point of view, to have, the opportunity to take on their own issue areas. And I know that Lieutenant Governor Hochul values her time. She spends as much of her time traveling the state and meeting with as many stakeholders as possible, such that her constituents are best represented.
Going back to SUNY, I'd like to expand, you should expand on what you were saying.
Yeah.
To me, you could say yourself, the major student issues, affordability,
Yeah.
and now even drug abuse, again, that we have so many. Mark and I have every DA from every county around the area, and the sheriffs,
Yeah.
and they say, and my question is, what's your biggest issue? And they say heroin addiction.
Yeah.
So, amongst drug use among students, and affordability, you always hear that raising rates, and then the students are screaming on the other hand, hey, we're taking our loans up to our nose.
Well, and affordability is certainly a critical issue on our campuses. The governor put forth a program, the Excelsior Scholarship, which will help with that. It will help with affordability. It will help with accessibility. But we can't be fooled. We have to recognize that the cost of college education, we are $1.3 trillion in debt. Students in the United States are $1.3 trillion in debt. That outweighs credit card debt and auto loan debt combined.
Really?
And those costs are coming from textbooks and health care. They're coming from food and housing. They're not just coming from the cost of tuition. So it's great that we've got a plan that's going to help make college more accessible at 2- and 4-year institutions. But we have to be mindful of the fact that costs come from more than just tuition. And that's what we at the Student Assembly fight for every day.
Well, here's an idea from Maryland that I saw on TV the other night. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
About the Maryland program? If you graduate, the Maryland government will pay off your student loan, or 80% of it, if you buy a foreclosed house that's been rehabilitated already by the city. So, then you have the mortgage payment that replaces your student loan payment. But, this is at least, you get a house, you get a beginning. I mean, is that something that you might want to propose here for New York? Because we do have a big foreclosure problem. We are, we do have people trying to rehab these foreclosed homes, and it could be a helpful thing if
Yeah, it's interesting. I know that we've looked at SUNY at programs like the Get On Your Feet loan program, which helps students to fill the gap between the federal reimbursement for loans and what's not covered. I don't know how much creative thinking has gone on in terms of buying a foreclosed home and what sort of relationship we would have to forge with the city or the county or the municipality to do that. But I will say, as a blanket statement, that I can always support that any initiative that will help, truly help, not give the appearance of help, but will truly help students to afford public higher education in the state of New York is something that we would
So when you
look
come
into.
back next time, you'll have a report that you looked into the Maryland program?
We will have a report. Nick Simons will make sure that we have a
Okay.
report on looking into the Maryland system.
I just,
The rabbi's waiting.
Yeah, I am, but I'm waiting for the Mashiach Messiah. But in any case, who will come first? But actually, I wanted to ask you, and maybe I'm naive, and obviously something's off, but I just add up the students. Actually, my wife's taking a little older, but she is in the SUNY Albany MSW program as social work. And, I just add up the money that's coming in to students. Maybe, like I say, maybe it's too simplistic. And then how much they're paying the professors, and she says very little. She doesn't even get full professors even at a master's level.
Yeah.
And what do they need so much money for? It just comes out to like $100,000 for a classroom. I mean, did anybody ever look into that?
Well,
to me, it's just like, you're paying the professors next to nothing. They really don't. I mean, that's another one. I actually asked a question, we have to cut down 2-3 professors.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have money. Oh, we just built a $10 million football stadium. Wait a minute, you have money for a $10 million stadium. What are you cutting 2-3 professors for?
Yeah, well,
the math to me, maybe I didn't look into it. The math just doesn't add up to what they're doing to the students.
Well, so there are different elements at play here, and where pay is really an issue with adjunct faculty. So you've got a lot of classes being taught by graduate students or visiting professors who get paid quite literally next to nothing.
Right.
And then students, you have to wonder, is the quality of education put into question? So that's one issue. I'll say that with the issue of our new football stadium, capital investment, when we get investment from the state, if it's a categorical grant, a categorical investment, not a block investment, we have to use it for what it's meant for. More so if it's a donation from a an alumni or a community member, right? And so if we're given a $10 million gift for the football stadium, we can't say, well, is it all right if we take $2 million? Because that's not what they want for. But I'll tell you that with the leadership right now that we have specifically at the University of Albany, interim president Jim Steller, who was the provost of UAlbany, is now interim president, has really made it a goal and a mission to reach out into the community and progress philanthropy so that we can stop cutting the humanities. And we have. SUNY across the board has been able to really halt that major cut in the humanities more so. And I can say, speaking at UAlbany as a social scientist, that we've been successful there a bit. A lot more work to do, but we've built some ground with the leadership we've got.
Now, I can't let you say the president's name without asking if he's a stellar president.
Not only is he a stellar president, I have to tell you that we invoke that when the chancellor was looking, that we had to find an interim president. It was important to have strong leadership, and there was an interview done by Politico New York, and the chancellor was quoted as saying, "We need to find a stellar candidate." Now, I really do think it was a coincidence because, of course, there was a process, but we've heard that before. And I'll tell you, Jim Steller, stellar guy, stellar candidate, stellar president.
What about now? I asked before, the drug issues.
Yes.
I mean,
we have to recognize that. By just investing money in SUNY, we'll take it, and we'll take the time, and we'll take the resources. But this is a community issue. Drugs are not rampant. Heroin and opiates are not running rampant on our campuses. What the data shows is that the issue really stems from downtown areas, be it Binghamton or Albany, and we have to address those issues because they're still students. Just because it's not happening on campus proper doesn't mean it's not happening, in the communities. And if we want our students to have as strong and wonderful an experiences they hope to get when they embark on a SUNY education, a UAlbany education, then we have a responsibility to keep them safe both on campus and off. So this is an issue that we're looking at.
So can you ask me about, can you talk more about the sanctuary campuses and what's that about?
Sanctuary campus issue, that's a hard pivot, Mark. The sanctuary campus issue is I'll say an issue of campus safety. We were among the first groups in the state of New York to release a statement immediately reaffirming SUNY's support for the 320 students from the 7 countries that were banned. Where you run into an issue with sanctuary...
system? In the whole system, there
are 320 students across the system from the 7 countries. Well, not that. Those are 320 students who have to be afraid that they're going to be deported. I'll tell you, the president of the Stony Brook Graduate Student Government, one of my presidents, is from Iran. She was detained at JFK for over a day. She was detained. She's one of my presidents. She's a 6th-year PhD student engaging in critical research, and she was detained. The important nuance here is recognizing that SUNY, unlike you've got NYU, you've got other campuses saying we are a sanctuary campus. We are a sanctuary for our students. SUNY has not said we are a sanctuary system because for years and years we have had police do not pull students over and ask for immigration status. We do not volunteer information to the federal government about our students. Students are not stopped and pulled out of classes and said, "I need to see your visa." We don't do that in SUNY, and we are proud to not have to just say we're a sanctuary system because all of those elements already fall into the policies that have been longstanding.
Right, because when I was at the University of Albany campus, one of my friends' father worked for the Shah of Iran, and when the Shah was overthrown, they left because they would have been killed by the Ayatollah. So they left, they came to Long Island, and he went to college up at UAlbany. And we got to be very good friends. I was with the campus radio station. He did an interview with me with disguising his voice because he was so scared. And, but he was never fearful on the campus. But he was always fearful that if he went off campus, that the Ayatollah's people will find him and, even though he was born here, and his father escaped, he might be in jeopardy also.
Sure. So let me say we have signed the Student Assembly, the Chancellor, campus presidents have supported an expansion of DACA. The Student Assembly and SUNY have reaffirmed.
DACA.
Well, DACA is a program that allows.
What's the acronym?
Deferred Action Childhood something.
Okay.
It's for arrivals. Thank you. It's for students who are here because their parents may have come illegally, but they're legal. They're legal, and they need access to the same
Right,
the
but-
same affordability, the same tuition assistance as
But
other
isn't
other
the
students.
operative word that you just used illegal? That their parents are illegal?
No.
So shouldn't their parents be sent back? I mean, when we were our relatives were immigrants, our ancestors, you know, they left families in Europe, and one or two people from the family would come over to America, scope things out, and then, you know, if they were still alive in Europe, they would send for them. But, you know, this was a common thing where you had to be legal.
Yeah, Mark, we
be
have
here.
Mark, we have an immigration problem in this country. We do. The way to solve that problem is not by deporting people who are here, actively contributing, paying into society, working jobs that no one else wants to
They're
work.
not paying into
That's not.
society because they don't have a social security number and they're not paying taxes. They're illegal.
No, but you've got people who are doing jobs that no one else wants to do, and I think
So-
that I'm far removed from being able to, speak on issues of policy like this on a national level, and I'm not going to, but I will speak on issues with SUNY, and I will fight every day for those students who are here trying to earn an education, trying to
Right.
create a better life for
Who
themselves
are
and their
legal.
families,
The students are legal,
To
but
fight
their
for them.
parents are not.
to fight for them to be able to have the same tuition assistance as anyone else.
Right, but that's fine. But when their parents come on the campus and they're illegal, are you going to offer those illegal parents sanctuary?
If they are, well, now you're talking about sanctuary campuses, doc. If they are students in SUNY, I think they should have access to an affordable education. So too do I believe that we have a responsibility to protect them as much as we can. The federal government, ICE calling campuses saying, hi, give us a list of all of your undocumented students. We're not going to do that. SUNY is not going to do that. And I, as the trustee and president of the Student Assembly, will do whatever I can do to ensure that these students can live and learn in safe, welcoming, and inclusive environments. And you know what? It's easy to sit there and say, oh, this issue, it's not relevant to me, so let's just let someone
No,
else
it's
deal
not,
with it.
because it is relevant, because of our ancestors had this issue, and the way they did it was legally, where they came over on the boat, one or two.
Some, but not all. You can't make a blanket statement. And I can tell you, from my family, my ancestors, they would want to be treated with the level of respect that immigrants right now are not treated with, and refugees are not treated with. And I'm a big believer in the golden rule, and you do unto others how you would want done to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna safeguard these families as much as I can to ensure that they
I'd
can
love
live and
to
learn.
make them legal.
You know, let's go into a segue. You talk about your ancestors. Your
Yeah.
name's Cohen.
Yeah.
What about Jewish life on campus, or your Jewish life
Yeah.
on campus? What there is on campus?
I'm blessed to go to a university. Rabbi Mendel Rubin is the
Excellent.
rabbi of our Chabad. He is outstanding
Raisi.
within, and well, we're going to get to Raisi.
Okay.
Raisi is spectacular too. The rabbi invites me regularly to come and daven with to be a part of Minyan, and I do as much as I can and take aliyahs and like that. And Raisi makes such beautiful Shabbat meals every other week. And over break, students have the opportunity, if they're not going home or if they're from Israel, if they're international, they can come and they can have meals on UAlbany's campus and beautiful Shabbat dinners. And it's such a wonderful, beautiful family, the Rubin family. I know that you know.
Sure, I'm good friends
So
with
life, and so we've got a Chabad, we've got a Hillel, we've got Great Danes for Israel, we've got a really strong contingent of Jewish students, but engaged Jewish students, which really make for a wonderful life for students on campus.
Did they move the kosher thing from Dutch
to Indian?
to Indian?
Yeah, they did, and it's a beautiful facility. It's
I'm
wonderful.
going to have to go there, Mark.
You have to
Okay.
go there. It's a beautiful menu.
It was
it's-
at Dutch Quad for so many.
for so long, and now it's updated. It's very nice, and there's a board that gives you information about goings on campus with Jewish
Really?
student groups and
Activities.
things like that. Activities, yeah.
What does FBLA stand for?
Future Business Leaders of America.
And you are?
I was when I was in high school. I was the state president of Future Business Leaders of America, and it's an outstanding organization. It's an organization to help
Of course,
students.
because you were president of it.
Well, no, not even. It was
wouldn't be
outstanding. It was
president of a
it was outstanding before I was president. It's with high school students. It's the largest student-run business organization in the country. Over 250,000 members nationwide. And I was a state president. I was a state vice president, and I was a national region officer too. I loved that experience. That really helps to build students up and prepare them for college in ways that
No one else can.
no one else can. I would argue it's really great. Yeah.
So what is, when you were in high school, is that a high school thing that you were?
Yeah. So 9th grade through 12th grade. It was released high school.
And, okay, so you were there you were part of it for all 3 years? Or
4 years. Yeah. I started as a freshman.
And what what has that, how has that grounded you to where you are, what you've become today?
Well, it started me on the path toward advocacy, so it is not inherently an advocacy organization, but I recognized that there were students who wanted to engage in activities, and we had to get funding from the school and the state to make things happen, and working with elected officials and with student leaders from across the state at a campus level to engage them sort of in extracurricular activities, showing the importance of that when you're looking toward college and then a path in life. So it was a critical step in my development as a leader, as a person, and I know that our chapter at Williams Least is still thriving to this day. There's over 200 members at one campus. Or at one school rather. It's excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Are you going to expand that to other high schools or look into it?
Well, I'm not so involved with FBLA anymore. I haven't been since I graduated in 12th grade.
But you could be.
Well, I could be. They've reached out. I've coached a couple of competitions. I won nationally. I came in first place in job interview. Gave my mom nachas, so I coached the competition at the state level. Once I was a judge.
I was going to ask you this when you were talking about the Chabad and on campus. Are you a Cohen?
I'm a Cohen, yeah.
Well,
I am.
Something else we have in common. I'm a Cohen.
You're a
too.
Cohen? Okay.
We have the same birthday.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
spell on
And
first
I'll take
names
the
the same
blessing
way.
for two Cohen.
No,
Between
yeah.
me, I'll get
Normally the problem is
Rabbi.
finding. So I've had to do
That's
two
right.
Aliyahs so many times. There's no Levi.
yeah.
There's no right. So it's
Yeah.
Okay.
Two for
so
the price of one.
I get a twofer. Yeah.
Okay. I do. I'm blessed with that also.
All right.
Yeah.
They're pushing with a little Levium away over
Well,
here. Stay out. Don't let me get
Yeah.
in.
Well, this has been a pleasure. This is really
Always
good,
a pleasure to be with
Are
you.
there other things that you want to mention that we didn't know enough to ask you?
I think that it's important to recognize the Student Assembly is on a track toward really outstanding things. We've shown over this last year what the power of the student voice can be. We've got 600,000 students, of which we've mobilized more so than ever before. And the state legislators, the local counties for community colleges, the federal government, they really do want to hear from us and they do care. Coming up on March 2nd is the Higher Education Advocacy Day, which I'm speaking at. March 3rd is a local advocacy day. I'm going to be down with some of my leadership team in Washington, D.C. advocating. It's crunch time. We got to get our names in the budget. We got to get the funding that we need to keep college affordable, accessible, and to promote things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, the Educational Opportunity Program, tuition assistance. There's a lot of work to do, and we're set to do it. We've been doing it for the last semester, and we're ready to do it this year.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
So we got just one more minute. Are
One more
you feeling
question,
the
all right.
same competition that the pre-K to 12 is feeling between public and charter schools or private parochial schools as SUNY is when you give to independent colleges? So when you have funding, there's state funding for independent colleges.
Yeah.
And there's state funding for SUNY.
Sure. So look, we do not believe that you can subsidize a $40,000 a year education. Private education in New York costs on average $40,000 a year tuition. You can't subsidize that. It's ludicrous to even think that you can. So I think a better way to invest state funding is to put it into public colleges and universities where more students can benefit and your dollar goes further. I think that private education is great, and anybody that wants to pursue it, I would encourage. But when it comes to my tax dollars and those of my constituents, putting it toward public education and ensuring that you're getting the most bang for your buck, that's where the Student Assembly lies, and that's where we always
So you
will.
do have that competition with the independent colleges, grappling for the same dollar, for state
Sure,
dollars.
absolutely, and there's just not enough to go around.
Okay.
So.
Thank
I
you.
thank you very much, Mark. You're doing great work for the students of the university,
Oh, thank
and
you.
continue with success, and we'll check in with you to see where your life has lead you.
Thank you, Mark, and
Okay.
and Rabbi. Thank you very much.
All right, all the best of success to you.
Yeah.